what is going on, everybody? This is another Brent Reacts video. Today is going to be a little bit interesting. As far as the video that we've picked. Here's Lydia.
Hi, I'm not doing it with you, but I want to say hi.
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 So this video is actually a more recent one. It was done back in July, I believe. And the investigators that we're looking at, actually, I'm actually going to feature this because, not one, they actually did a great job, and two, this is an interesting case for a lot of reasons. So they're in Gary, Indiana. If any of you people out there know how bad, let me adjust this camera real quick, sorry. There we go. So if you've never been to Gary, Indiana, and there's no exaggeration about this whatsoever, especially when you see this in this video. No exaggeration whatsoever when it comes to how violent Gary, Indiana is, but on top of that, it has been one of the world's worst cities to live in for way more years than any other city that I know of. It probably at least 40 years, if not probably longer. Basically what happened in Gary, Indiana, as far as I know, being raised in Ohio and going back and forth to Chicago quite a bit, Gary, Indiana is one of those places that you just try to hurry up and get out of because it is so vicious and violent there. And with that said, you're gonna hear some stuff in this video that kind of basically confirms that. But the reason why this particular case is a little bit different than the ones that I've seen from this point is, one, the investigators are genuine. Okay, like they don't really fluff anything up. And what I mean by that is that they go in there, they do the investigation, they do try to actively help this woman, and that's huge because, in my opinion, that's what paranormal investigators should be doing anyways. They should be going in to try to help, not to, profit off of the traumatic situations that have happened, and they do a great job of this. So this isn't really me kind of like bashing them or anything like that. I am going to give commentary where it's necessary. But because this one is so different than the last ones that I've covered, I'd like to ask you guys that are watching these videos to be very open-minded in this situation, mainly because the investigation team is actually trying to help. And that's a big deal. That's a very big deal, because most of the stuff that you're seeing now, especially all over YouTube, is you're seeing a lot of people basically faking haunted situations. Okay, so originally why I got into it all those years ago was to try to help people that were suffering. But it was the means as to how I was doing it was the problem. Maybe we'll save that for an individual video one day, like what went on in my life and what I came through. But for today, we're going to feature this channel. Now, this channel is called Paranormal Nightmare TV. And I think these guys do a really, really good job. Apparently it's three brothers, and they're all from Ohio. So, if you're a Buckeye fan, that helps. But the reason why this is interesting is because of how they do the investigation, one, and two, and there's going to be some things that I kind of disagree with, but I'll explain why when that comes up. But without further ado, let's just get into this, because I'll be honest, like, this is one of those things, guys, to where you really have to be aware of what's going on in this, and it's not going to be an easy watch for some, so I would recommend doing a little bit of viewer discretion if you want to watch this, because it's pretty violent. you're not going to see violence on the actual screen. Well, you kind of will, but you're going to see the byproduct of this. You're going to see the byproduct of trauma in this. So, without further ado, let's get into this. I got my handy dandy headphones here, and let's go ahead and get into this.
I never wanted to be left alone in the house. Never. Never. That's my honest statement from the bottom of my heart. I can't never go back to that house.
Gunshots?
I never wanted to be left alone in that house.
Yes.
To be honest with you, I think it's very dangerous. It put me in a coma.
What the?
You won't even know just I'm not around. So take my heart and burn it down. You won't even know just I fell to the ground. So break my heart and burn it down.
Sorry.
With the family, see what's going on. A little
You
bit
missed it.
nervous about tonight. So
Well, I saw you dancing, so I had to come.
in my house.
That's never good.
Yeah, both of these glass curio cabinets got broken in a
I'm
fight.
sorry.
I don't have doors on my rooms because of fights and slamming into the closets. This is the bathroom. This is one room. Like I said, I don't have doors.
All right, so as you guys can see here, she doesn't have doors on any room, and there's massive holes in the walls. She's going to explain what happens, and I'd rather her explain what happens than me trying to tell you and try to interpret what's happening. That's if I try to change that, right, that would be falsifying the narrative. And this woman is not trying to do that. She's just trying to explain what's happened in her life since she's lived in this household. So
I'm in the process of tearing up my carpet because my dog is a puppy. We know how that goes, and this is another room. And this is the room where, like, I've been in this room my whole life, like 25 years. This is my room, and it had John written on the wall 7 times, and I can pinpoint where all 7 of them are. Like, there's nobody outside, there's nobody knocking on the door, there's nobody in here with us, but there is somebody in here with us.
somebody likes punching walls.
No, me and my boyfriend got in a fight. We were in a 4-year controlling relationship, and yeah, needless to say, that got broke.
So, with saying that, clearly there is this woman is experiencing trauma, and I'm no therapist, I'm no psychologist, I'm just a guy on YouTube, trying to bring more exposure into like the reality of this type of stuff. But you're gonna hear from the boyfriend here in a few minutes. But this is clearly trauma. Even the way that she's, walking through the house and the way that she's presenting herself, like she's showing that she's been through trauma. So, with that being said, let's just continue on here so she can say her whole story.
That got broke. Somebody got slammed into that wall. Hammers got thrown. It's been chaotic. So my parents bought the house in '96. I was born December of '98, so it's been in the family for quite some time. Not answering that. And it's all through this house. I've been here 25 years, my whole life. I'll be 26 in December. Today I got tapped. I was right here, right where you're standing, and I was bent over mopping, and I got tapped on the shoulder. And I heard, "Hey, Nicole." I can be sitting in the living room and I'll hear my kitchen cabinets slam. Glass cup randomly flew out of my cabinet one day. Came back in February and all my smoke detectors were going off. How do all 5 smoke detectors go out at the same time, coincidentally? My sister, she believes in paranormal.
Now, that can kind of be explained to a certain degree. So it depends on if fire alarms are like hardwired into the house or whether they're battery operated. Now, it's impossible for us, looking at this video to determine whether or not that was the case. Now, if I was in the situation that these investigators are, that would be something that I would check out to see if they're they're hardwired into the house or battery operated. If it's hardwired into the house, which the older houses in the type of neighborhood that they're in, that's actually fairly common, especially if it's a much older house. So that's something that they, in my opinion, should have checked. They didn't, because again, like she's just saying her story here. And this is one of their shorter videos, I would say, which is not a problem whatsoever to me. I think they were still thorough as to what they did and how they went about actually doing the investigation. But, you know, keep that in mind, guys, that one of the things that you probably should do if people are claiming that, you know, all this stuff is going off at the same time, I would check to see if it's hardwired. Because if it is hardwired, that could be an electrical issue in the house itself. But if it's battery operated, that's even more strange. Because, you know, batteries, there's no consistency in batteries. Like some of my camera batteries just don't last as long as others. That's just what it is. So with that being said, like that's something that, you know, if you're an investigator and they're telling you that they've had issues with fire alarms and stuff, one of the things and the other thing that they could do besides checking that would be, you know, find an electrician and find maybe a fire marshal that's willing to come in, kind of pro bono, and just see if there's something wrong with the actual devices themselves. But, you know, they still do a thorough job. That's just something I'm trying to point out for you to give more context, guys, of, you know, what is important to look at when you're investigating. So.
Paranormal activity. I said, what made you believe that? She said, I'd be hearing voices and talking and stuff. Shortly after, I started hearing voices, like it's like right outside my door, but it's in the same room as me. It's been hectic. Like I said, cabinets open, my screen doors fly open. So where is this coming from? And then my boyfriend of 4 years, he was getting sick constantly. He was paralyzed from the armpits down. And he was always getting sick. Something was making him sick. Like it was just attacking him. My mom was getting physically weak. My dad was doing criminal activity. And my sister just didn't want to be here.
All right, so something to point out here. If this house is making people physically ill, and there's a aspect of paralysis, it could be multiple different things. It could be mold, because exposure to mold can actually do that. There's the whole fact of, you know, I mean, there's so many things. You know, where is the house located in proximity to, you know, where they're at? Is there a factory that's producing chemicals into the air close by? Like, I mean, there's so many possibilities here. So I'm not going to assume, but it's something worth looking into when you're doing an investigation of, you know, if there's sickness going on, like, you need to take all this stuff into consideration. And clearly, you know, the type of life that she's had and the family exposure that she's had plays a huge factor into this, guys. Huge factor.
And I'm still standing. Like, I'm going to fight this. This is my home. This is where I want to live. Like, I can make my own home out of my family home and do what I want with it, then why wouldn't I? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, my mom's away, my dad's in prison, my sister's in college, and I'm still living life normally, but except I'm being attacked. I'm not an aggressive, violent, oh, I'm gonna punch you in your face. Ugh. I'm not that person, but that's who I've turned out to be in the last 10 years.
Do you think this house has affected you?
Sometimes I just want to be closed off in my own little zone, and I'm depressed and I never know why, or why do I still have random angry outbursts? How is this, what is happening to me? Why?
Okay, so this is clearly more of a from observation. Okay, like, again, I'm not a professional when it comes to like analyzing a person's point of view, when it comes to like what she's talking about related to trauma and all that. But to me, it sounds like there's some aspect of mental instability. And I'm not implying that, you know, that she's anything. I'm just saying the way that she's talking, the way that she's reacting, in my experience within my personal life, that this is showing signs of of like a mental issue in some capacity. And that's also important to note in these types of situations, because when you have mental issues, when you have, trauma involved, when you have alcohol, when you have the family dynamic, when you start combining all that together, you can see the outcome of that. Does that make sense, guys? I mean, again, like, she's lived a very traumatic life in the sense of, family dynamic. And obviously growing up in one of the worst places, especially even in Gary, Indiana, and you'll see this later in the video, that's kind of the conclusion I have at this point, that there might be some mental issues going on. There could be, like I said, chemical things within the house. There could be, mold. There could be a lot of different things that can cause a person to have these types of things happen. And again, like, I'm not implying that she has necessarily any like true mental issues here, but it seems like there might be. Again, I'm not a professional, but it's interesting to me to hear her say this stuff, and she responds in a very particular way. So let's get back to the video.
Why is everybody else around me getting sick, but I'm not? It's affected everybody in some way. Like, my dad's never been no criminal, oh yeah, I'm gonna go rob somebody. Like, he picked up a case at 47 years old. For what? Why all of a sudden now? All she did was trap herself in cigarette smoke and coffee drinking. She wouldn't do anything. She wouldn't go outside. She wouldn't want nobody here, come hang out with me or my sister. She wouldn't want to talk to nobody, but she'd always be talking to herself. It's kind of like a deep white man country voice. Like, this one day he said, Nicole, it's got to be something bigger in this house other than me and you, why we're fighting like this. And then he heard, ha, 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 it's me, John. My room, all the way in the back, is the only room that's painted out of the bedrooms. That's because I started noticing white names on it, and all the names were the same, and it was John. My boyfriend got shot in the head twice. He 22 times total, 20 times in the body, 2 times in the head. He became...
That is absolutely crazy. My first question is how and why, other than, he's just a product of, like she is, of where they live and the environment that they were raised in. To me, that doesn't make any, it's just incredible. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make any sense to me how a person could survive a gunshot wound to the head. But the only thing that I can guess is it would be like a small caliber weapon, but even then, like how she's describing this, it's almost nonchalantly, which is kind of concerning.
More closely related to the spiritual side because he was dying. I never told him the story about me that I just told you about painting my room because I seen John. I can literally go back there and point him out right now. Like, I sanded him down. I painted most of my room myself because I didn't want to see that. I'm like, I didn't want to see all that. I just didn't want to see that. Like, I don't know who John is. Maybe he lived here before. John. There's one right here. Let's start here. There's one right here. There's one up there somewhere. And there's one, like, right where that little dot's at. Like, that little square dot. Right about here. There's another one. And then one in that corner. It's a little creepy, and I've been in this room, and it's always cold. Always cold.
Now, I'm not necessarily going to talk about the cold here because that could be various different things. That could be the fact that Indiana gets snow and stays colder throughout the seasons. It could be leaky windows. It could be, I mean, there's so many possibilities there. Not to mention all the holes in the wall. And it doesn't look like the house, if I'm looking at the open holes, it doesn't look like it's that well insulated. So that could be a product of that. But the other thing that I think that should have been done here was for the investigators to possibly get a black light and just verify that. Instead of taking a person just at the face value, if it was me, I would have got a black light or some way to see if those names were actually there. Because, again, like, everything that's going on in this house is kind of a bit suspicious to me. But again, like, that's just something to consider. You know, for you investigators out there, you know, if a person's making a claim about, you know, names in a room or something being written on the walls, I would want to actually see if there's truth behind this. I'm not implying that she's lying, but it's a person that's investigating a case really should take all of that type of stuff into consideration when they go to do their investigations. Now, maybe these guys did and it was just off camera. I don't know. But if it was me, I try to take those types of claims extremely seriously, because this obviously isn't the first case when it comes to paranormal that has had these types of events happen. But you want to be thorough. So that would be something that I would just point out for you investigators out there that want to do this. You know, if there's claims like this, you really should investigate the claims that are being said. Don't just take it at face value. Actually do your research and, you know, try to verify as much as you can. I know that this situation was hard because of what continues to happen, but still, that technically should be verified. You know, like, that's my personal opinion here.
Random chills, but it's always cold. That's all I want. I want my peace back. I want my home back. I want my comfortability back. I want normal. Like, being in this house was never normal, honestly. I've moved out of it a couple times. You know, I got pregnant at 15, dropped out of school, never went back to school after that. My son got taken away from this house. My mom got taken away from this house. My dad got taken away from this house. I got taken away from this house through DCS. My sister got taken away through DCS. Like, the whole family just got destroyed in a matter of a year. My sister got a case in 2015. My son was born in 2015. He got taken in 2015, and my dad got arrested in 2013. What is the target for? Like, you're dealing with a old, evil, grumpy white man.
So what do you think's in here?
I don't know. Somebody that didn't live a happy life. Somebody that must have died miserably. Or a demon. Somebody told me it goes off like negative energy, but I'm a very positive person. I'm happy, you know, I got my house, I got my bills paid, I got my...
Okay, here I would disagree, okay? She's saying that she's happy, but happiness is a byproduct of joy, okay? So you can say that you're happy all day long, but if you don't compare that with the understanding of joy, then happiness is just subjective. So with that being said, I mean, like, she's not clearly happy, you know? So that's a bit strange to me as to why she would say that, mainly because you can see that she's not happy. You can look at her body language and say that she's not happy. And again, like, this house, it's hard to say exactly what's going on here other than, you know, what's being said. But yeah, I mean, that just was a bit peculiar. Sorry, guys, I still have a hard time talking some days, but yeah, it's just a bit strange to me. The why you would say something like that. But, you know, let's see if she actually tries to defend it.
Dog, I got my friends on the street. I don't have my family no more, but they're still around. Like, I have two other sisters that didn't grow up in this house. Other sister didn't want to be here either. She didn't want to be here either. So I'm trying to figure out why. What is it? Why am I still fighting for this house when everybody else gave up on it? Everybody else ran away. It was too much on them. They couldn't take it no more, and I'm still here. Like,
ran away? That's not what she just described. She described, you know, her mom leaving. She described her dad being in prison, and one of her sisters went off to college, and then the other sister wants nothing to do with this. But that's strange to me. It's just really strange for me, guys. Like, I don't know. this part of the story doesn't add up to me for some reason. And again, like, she's had these metaphysical experiences. When a person has a metaphysical experience, we can't sit here and try to debate that. She's had something happen. There's clearly something going on. But how do we address it? That's the problem. So again, the part of this interview is a bit strange to me.
Like, I get tapped a lot. I get tapped, I hear my name, I just get irritated, get real irritated. And my blood pressure goes high where I'm about to pass out. I don't want it to get worse than what it is, because hearing things, and I'm like, I'm not crazy. Like, I know I'm not crazy. I hear cabinets open and close. Like I said, my screen doors fly open. I hear random taps on the wall. Are you okay to be on video?
I had a lot of experiences in that house, and
Okay, guys, this is the boyfriend, or the ex-boyfriend, I guess. So listen very carefully as to how he describes his experience here.
especially the reason I died like about 3 times in that house. The spirit is so strong, it was affecting my health. And I was in the back bedroom back there, the purple one where she sleeps. And I was back there watching television, just hanging out, waiting on her to come back from the hospital. And then I heard my name. It said, Damien. So I rode my wheelchair throughout the house. All the lights was off besides the kitchen light. I didn't see nothing. So I went back in the room, and then I heard, ha, ha, ha. And then I said, okay, let me turn the television down. If I hear my name again, then I know that this is not just me in my own mind. So no less than as soon as I grabbed the remote control and I turned it down, I heard my name again, but it sounded like it was a little closer, like it was like in the bathroom area. I never wanted to be left alone in the house. Never. That's an honest statement from the bottom of my heart. Remember when I used to wake up when I first got there and I had all those scratches on my back and my neck? I had a phenomenal amount of scratches on my back, my arms, my neck. We're sitting on the bed and I'm on the far, like at the tip of the bed, just like sitting up with my legs hanging down. And a face came from around the doorway. Worries me the most is that I think that thing will be attaching our spirit, because me and her had a lot of fights in the house. And when we're not in that house, we get along well. And I mean with weapons, with screams, breaking glass, bottles, walls. It's just like
Guys, let's just be real with ourselves here. I can't say the word because of Facebook restrictions, but clearly there is trauma here. Okay? If a man is saying that they're fighting with weapons and they're fighting and are angry, number one, I'm gonna already tell you guys that cops aren't gonna show up to where they live at. They're just not. They're in an area of Gary, Indiana, where even police is terrified to go into. Okay, like the area that they're in is no joke. This is the reason why I find this so strange. Is he's trying to be consistent with his story, but you know, both the woman and this guy need to be real with themselves as to what was really going on. It doesn't always have to be paranormal, guys. Sometimes it is a biological thing within a house that can cause people to have these types of things happen. But in no way do I think that he's making up his story here. It is unique, I'll say that, but I don't think he's faking his story, if that makes sense.
It's almost like they feed off that. And me and her talked about that one time. And I think that was the driving force of her trying to reach out to you guys. Because it started not only affecting her mother, it was affecting anyone that went in there. That's why I told her I can't never go back to that house. I never wanted to be left alone in that house because I could feel a lot of stuff, but I didn't want to acknowledge it. But it was definitely playing itself out. And it was turning on kitchen lights, turning the kitchen lights off. 20-30 minutes later, kitchen light back on. No, that house freaks me out. I don't know what happened before I got there, because I was only there for a few years. She's been there her whole life. To be honest with you, I think it's very dangerous, obviously, because it drained me down and it put me in a coma. I'm sure that it's probably going to show itself, because it's been resting in there, feeding off of her energy and my energy and whoever else is in jail. It's amazing that you guys there and you guys can be able to figure out what's going on over there. I think that's wonderful. I think it's some old souls there that's just roaming. I think that they're stuck in that time period. I don't think they moved on, but I think that they enjoy.
Or we could just call it what it is. I mean, just call it what it is. You know, don't use the whole energy thing all the time. Okay? It's a lot easier and a lot better to just call it what it is. And be real with yourself as to what experience that you're having. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. It's kind of sounds like he's skirting around the whole entire truth as far as, you know, how he's perceiving things. But I mean, again, like this is an outside perspective. I'm not there. You know, I wasn't involved in this case whatsoever. And again, like they're just reviewing and interviewing the two main people that are involved in the story. And it's a good thing that they do this because it brings more context and more concrete evidence to the table when you're talking about people that have been affected in this manner. But I don't know necessarily if he's like, again, like it seems a bit odd to me, like just this interview, mainly because of the way that he's describing it. But just call it what it is. That's all I'm asking, you know, and that doesn't matter whether it's the person that you're interviewing that's related to the house or the property that you're on, or whether it's you as an investigator or as an interviewer, as an investigative journalist, you know, in a certain sense. So call it what it is, guys. You know, that's more helpful for people to relate than just skirting around the actual truth. And again, like this house has had literally years and years and years of trauma in it, you know, and that has to be addressed. That has to be talked about. That has to be, you know, something that you look at as an investigator, you know, because if we're looking at it from the organic aspect of it, right? So you have two people that have a lot of trauma in their lives. They're in a very bad area, you know. To me, it's not surprising that she talks about, you know, her family wanting to get out of that house. And, you know, if it was me, I wouldn't just want to get out of the house. I would want to get out of the town, which, you know, that's what I did when I turned 18. I basically left where I was from and been in several states since, but found our home in Tennessee. Like, sometimes it takes just leaving to do that. And I'm not saying this house isn't worth saving, because it probably is, but when you have that much damage on the inside, most people aren't going to touch that with a 20-foot pole, you know? So, just context here.
Me and her trying to kill each other. Got my fingers shut off in there. I mean, all sorts of stuff happened in there. But I think that house, Josh, it definitely needs to be cleansed. You guys need to put some prayer on top of that. Somebody need to be released from that house, because it's heavy. It's heavy. It's real heavy. Every time I leave that house, I'm good. The moment we have a financial setback and we have to come back to start all over again, that's when it all starts again. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. Hopefully that'll be good to help her set her mom up, to get her mom to come back in that house after you guys cleanse it and stuff like that, so she can be okay. You guys are amazing. God bless you guys. And, you know, just, you know, be safe. Definitely be safe. I love you, Cole. I'll talk to you later.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Case file. As you walk throughout this house, you can't help but feel a dark and heavy energy emanating from the walls. Hopefully with tonight's investigation.
Again, you guys saw the byproduct of trauma here. You know, when they're talking about fights and you're seeing literally drywall being ripped off the wall, this isn't a good environment even for a person that says that she's, you know, she's okay in the environment. Like, look down this hallway, guys, and see how much you actually see. Like, behind where my image is, I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but right over here, well, rather, this side of the screen, sorry, this side, there's literally two gigantic, like, fist marks in the wall, you know, like, This is not a good environment for anyone to be in, let alone somebody to be there by themselves. It's mind-blowing for me.
My brothers and I can uncover answers to what has destroyed Nicole's family. We've got a ton of alarms throughout this house, and the alarms have been going on.
Now, I want to make this point before we continue. Okay, these guys, we're now on to the investigation. We're no longer dealing with interviews, so I want you guys to pay attention to something. Okay, so most investigators investigate at night. These guys are doing it literally in the middle of the day. Like, that should tell you a couple of things. One, that this is not a safe environment whatsoever. And two, what they start to experience isn't just in the house. They're actually experiencing people in the hood. And they'll talk about it, so I'm not going to address that right now. But again, like this isn't a safe environment in any way you look at it. It's just not, it's just crazy to me.
Off like crazy since we got started. So I'm going to run an EVP session and see what we get. If there's anyone inside the house with us, my name is Josh. This is Rocky and Sean.
Alright, so you guys know that I don't like EVP work. I don't like EVP work, and I don't like the Estes method for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons that I don't like using these recorders is because you can almost make up pretty much anything from it. Yes, dear?
No, you do not like those methods at all. I'm just saying, he really doesn't.
I really don't.
No, like, he really doesn't. Sorry.
And it's because you can create a narrative from it. Now, am I implying that that's what they're doing here? No. But the Estes method, which they don't do, which is really surprising for me. I was expecting that, like, when I first watched this, but they don't do that at all, actually. Which is refreshing, because so many people do it these days, and all they're doing is creating a false narrative. These guys aren't creating a false narrative, but I just don't like this particular type of stuff because it's so easy to use that to your advantage and to basically create a story that only you're actually the author of, okay? You have to take all of this stuff into consideration, all the trauma that's happened in the house, all the trauma that's happened within the family, and you really have to relate that in a positive way. And I think these guys do a pretty good job of that. I just don't like this particular method because you can create a false narrative. And that's the main reason as to why I don't like it. But again, I think these guys are professional. They actually do a pretty good job on being consistent with this. So I'll let you guys decide for yourself.
Sean, we are here tonight to communicate with you, to find out if you've been affecting this family and affecting Nicole. Who are you?
This camera is blurry the whole entire time, guys. And there's a reason why they have a camera facing out.
Open up the door.
Are you at the door right now? She said the screen doors slam, the doors open and close, the cabinet doors open and close, stuff moves off the counters, cameras in the kitchen, the bedroom. If there's anyone inside the house with us and affecting Nicole, why are you here? Are you at the door right now?
Now you guys see why I don't like it very much. It's because of how easy it is to manipulate people with that. Now, again, I don't think they really do that here. They're just trying to find as much evidence as possible. These guys actually seem really, really genuine in their investigation, to be honest, because they are trying to help somebody here. I think that's really important to remember, but that's the reason why I don't like EVPs, because, I didn't necessarily hear that, right? But simultaneously, when you put it on the screen like that, it can cause a false positive. So, and what do I mean? Well, I mean that generally speaking, when you put something like that on the screen, you know, you're gonna have to basically deal with that. And so if you put it on the screen, your subconscious is going to read that, and when you read that, that's what you hear. So that's the main reason why I don't like EVPs, is because it's so easy to manipulate people. Again, I don't think that they're trying to do that here necessarily, but I would err on the side of caution, you know, and putting certain things on the screen, mainly because at that point there is a possibility that you can have somebody be manipulated, you know, to a certain aspect of narrative. So again, I'm just pointing this out, not saying that they're not doing a good job, because they are, but they actually don't do this for very long, so I'm okay with it in this.
Oh, it sounds like a faint voice in there, don't it?
Did you lock the doors?
I locked this one. Set the deadbolt.
I'm gonna lock the back door. Pretty sketchy place. Just try EVP session in the kitchen. John, if you're inside this house, we call on you to come forward and communicate with us. We want to find out why you're here. John, if you're inside this house, we call on you to come forward and communicate with us. We want to find out why you're here. You definitely hear like a faint voice. I think whenever we go, to me, this side of the house has a darker feel to it. Anyone inside this house, we need you to come forward and try as hard as you can to talk to us. If you've been moving stuff in this house and affecting Nicole, we are here to help her tonight. Who are you and what do you want?
All right, I want to point something out real quick. So when you're using devices, whether it's a recording device, whether it's an app on a phone, whether it's you know, a REM pod, whatever, right? I believe that the best way to do the investigation is isolating these particular devices within the circumstance. So him carrying, even though that he's carrying it like this, right, to show that he doesn't have his hand on the button, that actually could, in fact, corrupt your investigation slightly. So the best way to do anything when it comes to using these tools is to isolate them. So they could have easily set that down somewhere. And by setting it down, you now have taken yourself out of the equation of it. Because there are certain people that actually can manipulate those, especially if it's a DR60. You guys know that I don't like that. I really, really don't like that device for recording because it's old technology. And so there's a lot of white noise within it, and people can create a narrative from that white noise. Luckily, they're using a more modern recorder, so they don't necessarily have that issue. But it would just make, I think, people like myself appreciate it more if just the thing was just set down somewhere. When you do that, you isolate all your different devices. And again, I think they do that with everything but the recorder here. I think everything else is pretty decently isolated within the test that they're trying to do. But that's the one thing that I would say that could be improved for investigators is try to work harder at isolating every object or every device that you use within the circumstance. So you don't have to have all these devices on at the same time, for instance. They don't have to be on the same table, in the same room necessarily. But again, like, I think they do a good job with the devices. It's just a recorder. I don't like it when people hold on to it, because to me, that's not taking the human error out of it, which means that these guys could potentially be getting false positives. In reality, that's a very big possibility. So just something to be aware of.
And affecting Nicole, we are here to help her tonight. Who are you, and what do you want? Try her bedroom. Her bedroom, I would say, is definitely like the darkest out of all the rooms. You're gonna have to eventually come out and talk to us. Are you in this room? John. Just come out and make yourself known. Set off the alarms. Talk to us. Touch us. John, why was your name written all over these walls?
All right, something to point out here. Now, these particular fellows do a great job, when they start to be affected by the house and whatever entity that they're being involved with. But generally speaking, a lot of people freak out, But and the reason why I'm saying this is that you're literally telling a spirit, an entity, whatever you want to call it, to come and attack you, okay? Like physically affect you. When it happens, don't get scared. You gave it the invitation. So if you're giving it the invitation, don't get scared. I don't believe they do that. I think they do a really, really good job here of staying as professional as possible. I commend them for that. But so many other people, when they ask to make their presence known, it's almost just mocking the paranormal community when you think about it. Because when you ask for something to make itself known and then it affects you and you freak out running out of the building, that's a problem. It's a big problem. And shame on the guys that do that. These guys are being really, really professional, though. That's something that's very refreshing for me, because there isn't a whole lot of people within the paranormal community that are acting as professional as possible. So yeah, it's just something to point out, And again, he's got as you guys can see, he's got the recorder in his hand the whole time. It is what it is, but there's better ways to do that. I would say go into the room and find a place to set it down at. That's going to be isolated away from any other device that could potentially manipulate it. So again, it's just a small thing. But yeah, they gave the invitation and they stood their ground. That's important. There's so many people that don't do that. But they asked it to affect them in some way. And so when you do that, you really should remain as professional as possible. These guys do a great job here.
Are you in this room with us right now? Do you stay in this room?
Now, something else to be pointed out here. So they have a device on the bed. Totally fine. But the problem is that what's the distance between the camera, the recording device, and the REM pod? Because that REM pod could, technically speaking, because both the recorder and the camera that's in the room could be actually creating a frequency that that device can pick up on. It could. Not saying that that's what's happening here, but it's very, very possible to do that. There's a couple of videos that I've reviewed and kind of reacted to here recently that it was just awful. You know, they put so many devices next to each other. It's like, well, it's going to go off no matter what you do because you have all these frequencies going off around it. So that would be my main question. And again, like, I don't think that they can really prevent that right now just because this room seems very small. But it could potentially, you know, as far as frequency is concerned, cause each one of them to react in a strange manner. So just point it out.
It literally sounded like something moved on this bed. John, are you on the bed? What the frick was that? What the?
I understand playing it once, maybe twice, but literally taking like a minute and 30 seconds, I'm sure it wasn't that long, but it kind of feels that way, and repeating it over and over and over again. Are you trying to convince yourselves when you do this, or are you trying to convince your audience? Because I don't think it's necessary. You know, the audience heard it the first time, and if they didn't hear it the first time, that's why I said, I have no problem with you do it a second time, but as many times as they're repeating it, I just feel like it's unnecessary.
Frick was that? What the frick was that? Holy crap.
It sounded like right beside me.
What the frick? Dude, that was straight out of a freaking horror movie. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, woo, and then it sounded like the freaking walls.
Sounded like it was freaking like moving.
John, thank you for communicating with us. We are here to see if you have a message. But what you are doing to this family is not good. How you have affected people that's come inside this house and hurt them and destroyed their life. That ends tonight. Come on, John, let's see how powerful you are. Yeah, don't you feel like this room's got like a heavier feel to it?
I feel the whole house. But it seems like as soon as you start walking back down the hall, you know, that's where, I don't know, you get really uneasy.
John, you've ran everybody out of this house except for Nicole. Was that your goal, to have her here by herself? You wanted her alone? Tonight your plan ends. What the frick? Dude, I keep feeling like something. It's like a freaking needle going to the back of my neck. And I freaking hate needles. John, are you touching me right now? Right now? I don't know if we're getting EVPs or not. Because there's been a couple cases I thought we didn't get anything, and I went back and reviewed it, and you could hear them.
See, all we're asking for as an audience for a little bit of honesty. That makes them credible. Because they're not saying that they caught something every single time that they turn that device on. That is very commendable, guys. Bravo. Please stay true to that as much as what you guys can. Because nothing annoys me, as a person who kind of reviews these videos, it really aggravates a lot of people, both in the debunking community and just audiences in general, when you try to say that you get something caught every single time you go somewhere. I'm not going to mention any YouTubers by name, but y'all know the ones that I'm talking about here. They miraculously, there's something going on in every single scene and every minute of the episode. But these guys are being true to it. They're being honest. They're saying, look, I don't know if we caught any EVPs here, but we did earlier after I reviewed it, and they kind of move on to the next thing. I think that's important to do. And again, like, bravo, guys, because this is encouraging. Both for me, and I think a lot of debunkers would look at this and go, okay. I don't think you guys are going to get any aspect of negativity from being honest like that. So good job, guys.
So until we go over this stuff, we won't know exactly for sure until after we analyze all the footage and the audio if we actually caught EVPs.
Whoever we're talking to in here, I got a device here that will say words. I need you.
All right, just to be clear, y'all know I don't like these apps on the phones either, because again, it's easily manipulated. I've given you guys examples time and time again as to how easy they are manipulated. So I would, if it was me, I would approach using those phone apps in the same exact manner as I would do a recorder for an EVP. What they're meant to do, and the most accurate way to do it, is to basically isolate that device once again. So when you enter a room, figure out where you don't have another device, set it down, and just see what happens. But on the same token, this is the first time in any video that I've watched, and guys, I go through hundreds and hundreds of videos to find one that I feel like I can talk about, that's relevant, because a lot of them just aren't relevant for me to even say anything. This is the first time that I've actually seen this actually be consistent, as far as one of these devices. Like, it's actually pretty consistent. There's a couple of things that are kind of strange, I would say, but it's extremely consistent, and it's interesting. So let's take a look.
You to come and talk to me through this device. Now, who's in this room? Tell me what your name is. Nicole's lived here her whole life. She was born in this house. Is that why you mess with her so much?
Be quiet.
No, I'm not going to be quiet. Do you not want to talk to us? I was going to ask, you don't want to talk to us, and it said not.
What do you want?
I want to know why you're here, why you're messing with Nicole. Do you not like having us in here?
Caution.
We always use caution. John, is that your name? Did you write John on these walls?
Nursing home.
Her mom's at a nursing home.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Are you talking about Nicole's mom? Did you mess with her when she lived here? Are you related to this family?
You what's crazy is how.
Okay, so I think instead of doing rapid fire questions, and again, like, I don't think necessarily that's the intention here, but what would be more intriguing for investigators to kind of see this perspective that I'm about to say? One of the things that would make it more intriguing is, one, just set the device down like I've previously mentioned, and two, ask less questions. In fact, you don't even really need to say anything. See what it's going to say without being provoked. Because again, like the way that these apps work, there's already a database of certain words, and if it's used it before in any capacity, it's got a memory to that. It's kind of like having a conversation with another person. Like Lydia and I have had conversations about like different things, and then literally like 5 minutes later, we start getting commercials on our phones and other devices about the very thing that we just talked about. So that's kind of how these apps work. So for me, it would be really interesting to see investigators, to one, set their phone down, and two, don't say anything. Just see what happens, at least for a couple of minutes, because I think that would be really intriguing. And obviously, they're doing a good job here. But again, like I feel like that would be way more intriguing for a lot of people to see what happens when you don't necessarily provoke anything. Just go into the house or go into the location, say the different things that you're going to use and try to isolate those things. But then, like, if you want to use one of these apps, I have no problem with it, but you almost want to foolproof it. So by saying nothing and just setting the device down, to me, that's foolproofing it. And that shows that you're not trying to create a false narrative. Again, I don't think that these guys are doing this, mainly because of what happens after this that we're about to see. But yeah, it would be intriguing to see someone actually take the time to do that.
How dark this house is, but it's still being light outside.
Oh, yeah. Did you mess with Damien when he was here? Did you show yourself to Damien? Like something just like, that was the weirdest feeling. It felt like something touched me like right here on the head, but like inside my hat. It felt like a vibration went across right here. Are you trying to figure us out?
Hurting. Daughter.
Hurting daughter.
Did you hurt your daughter?
Did somebody hurt your daughter? Does she remind you of your daughter? You hear that out there? You out in the hallway? You got alarms everywhere.
Okay, so one thing to think about when you're hearing noises, especially in an older house like this, my personal opinion is that sometimes some of these knocks that people hear are just simply the pipes and like biological things that are happening within the house. So, pipes can make those types of noises. If you have animals, like, I'm not saying like dogs and cats here, I'm talking about like, mice or some type of a varmint, anywhere in the house. It could be on the roof, it could be, in the attic, it could be wherever. That could contribute to those type of noises. Even, and again, like, we don't really see the outside of this house, but if you have a tree next to the house, that's also a possibility of how these noises could happen. So not every noise that you hear, okay, now this is generally for, not necessarily for the investigators, but this is for like the viewers and the listeners here. Make sure, okay, that you think about that and keep an open mind as to where these noises could potentially be coming from. Like I said, it could be a tree outside banging up against the house, if it's not trimmed up. It could be, the pipes. It could be just random noises that a house makes as it settles. There could be a lot of things that could contribute to those noises. So I think these guys do a really good job of basically not even really reacting to the noises that they hear because, again, they themselves don't know if it's actually paranormal or not. I think they can make a presupposition that it might be. But again, I think there's a lot of biological things, both within the house and outside of the house, that could contribute to these type of noises. So, food for thought.
Can you set one of them off? It's just like the one that you was playing with on the bed.
He'll hurt you.
Nobody's gonna hurt us. Why do you keep talking about being hurt? How did you
Are
die?
you scared? To your right.
Are you scared to your right? So you're in here with me, huh?
Go that way.
I think that was the bedroom. I think it was the room. Did you come back in here? You smell that? Smelled like perfume or something. I wasn't smelling that.
Okay.
Now, I want to give some context to this particular smell that they're talking about. Now, they said it smelled like perfume. There is a theory about specifically a smell of roses. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this story or not. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet to the point of kind of explaining this. So there is a cult that is, it's more of an occult than it is a cult, but nevertheless it is a cult called Santa Maria. Okay, and one of the things that people describe as they're being involved with this demon is the smell of roses or the smell of perfume. Now, again, I'm not implying that that's what they're dealing with here, but that is something to consider when you're thinking about smells, especially if it's like a perfume, like flowery smell, that it could be tied to something similar to that. Or, I mean, who knows? Who knows what it could be? I'm not entirely sure what time of year that these guys went out there. So, it could be just flowers outside and, the windows not being sealed properly and them smelling it. I mean, again, there's so many possibilities with this type of stuff, but it's worth mentioning the whole idea of a demon that has a specific smell to it that is like a rose kind of flowery perfume smell. And again, I'm not implying that that's what they're dealing with here. I just want to give you guys context and kind of defend what they're saying a little bit, because there is a possibility that that could be something demonic. But again, it's hard to say. Again, I'm not in the house. I don't know any of these guys personally. I don't know the homeowner personally. But it is worth considering, when you look at that, as far as, is this demonic or is it not? Well, there's a bunch of possibilities, and it kind of depends on what your own belief system is. What your own worldview is. That I think that's a lot of what you deal with when it comes to paranormal and paranormal investigation.
Come back.
Come back. Okay, I'll come back in there. You like hanging out in this room better? Pretty soon you'll just be talking to one of us. The other two will go outside. Is that freaking gunshots?
Yeah.
Arthur. Dude, somebody.
Dang, that's like a
AR.
AR.
This isn't the best neighborhood to be hearing gunfire.
But it just said my name.
It just said Sean.
Yeah, but we don't like the hearing gunfire outside the house.
Like I had mentioned earlier, Gary, Indiana, especially the neighborhood that they're in, it is extremely bad there. Especially if you're in a hood, like where this particular house is located. Other people in that hood have no idea who you are, so they're gonna be really suspicious about it. My wife and I used to live in Jacksonville, Florida, and we lived right on the edge of getting into like a really bad neighborhood. So one of the things that we always had to figure out, especially around the 4th of July, is that a gunshot or firework? And like, we made it into a game, but it really wasn't funny. It was in fact a homicide, and like when we saw it in the newspapers and, on the internet the next day, like it was a reality check. The places like this do exist in America. And where these guys are at, like they have a reason to be very cautious right now, especially with the fact that you guys heard it. There was now I couldn't say whether or not it's an AR-15 or anything like that, but there definitely was shots fired, and that's not the only time it happens. So let's keep watching.
Yeah, I'm like shaking. I'm like,
I don't
I don't know if I'm
I don't think
scared.
I'd be standing in front of the window.
John, I put an alarm in the kitchen. They said that you like to move cabinet doors and stuff.
Africa.
Go into the kitchen and set the alarm off.
Please. Come in. It's what we want.
Tell me what you want.
It's a gunshot again.
Yeah, and I got my back to the window.
Well, move away from the window.
It's gonna come through that wall right there where Josh is.
If they're going to shoot, they're going to shoot down the street.
But they're down that way. That's what I'm saying.
Does somebody want to hurt us? Come in the kitchen with me. So if you come up close to it, we'll be able to know that you're right beside me. You said you wanted to talk to me.
In the corner.
What corner? I don't know what I'm more nervous about, talking to you or hearing gunfire outside. What's bad, it's not even dark out yet. Can you tell me what your name is, since you said my name?
Oh, what bedroom's that?
Right there.
To the left. Hey, back. It's the,
Oh, it's just left here.
Are you in here?
Remember, he kept calling us back in here, Josh?
Father.
Farther.
Father.
Did say also?
Female.
I don't think there's a female spirit in here. I think you're a male. Damn, it's setting off all alarms now.
huh?
Are you setting this alarm off now? I'm not going to chase you. You come to me, okay? Whoa, what the hell was that? Why are you running from me? I heard you out here in the kitchen now. Sound like it, like one of the cabinet doors shut.
Okay, I've got another device over here that you could answer yes and no when we ask you questions. Is there a man inside this house?
Crazy, dude.
That's in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Are you setting off our alarm?
That means it walked by it.
Yeah.
Is your name John? Yeah, what's crazy is the areas where she didn't point out where they were having activity, we haven't had go off. The areas where she pointed out where they have the most activity, that's where everything's been going off. Like, literally, this room, nothing's went off. What was that?
I have fucking no idea, but this fucking place or this town just don't feel good about.
So that has not answered yes or no since it's been out here. I wonder if we move it back to that bedroom. If your name's John, come over and set that off. We've already told you we're getting rid of you tonight. We're going to bless this house. We're going to bless this property. And your reign over this family ends tonight.
No.
That is freaking crazy.
Holy that's crazy. It said no. It ain't gonna leave, more or less.
You're leaving tonight, John. Nicole's going to be free of you. Have you been trying to destroy this family? Are you back in the bedroom? Back in Nicole's bedroom because you're creepy? Let's take this back to the bedroom. So really the only time it said something was whenever we were talking about cleansing this place.
Maybe we should start talking maybe more about it.
Okay, John, we're back in the bedroom. Come on, you've ran so many people out of this house. You've destroyed so many lives. Don't be a coward now. Have you always been inside this house, yes or no?
Okay, so this is the first time we're seeing this here, guys. If you look, let me move myself just for a second here. Okay, so you actually see that there is a REM pod right here down in the corner, and then right next to it you have a camera with your other device. Those can actually cause each other to go off because, again, they're all three of those devices are emitting a frequency. So with that said, I don't know if me personally, I would have put those devices as close to each other as like they did, but you know, I'm not familiar with this one device in the center of the screen here. So I mean, to me, it could potentially give you a false positive because, again, like, they're all emitting a frequency and they're all going to essentially be affected, you know, in some kind of a manner when they're close to each other. So this is the first time that I'm seeing this, that these guys are doing this. They're probably not thinking about that necessarily, but, you know, it's something to consider when you're trying to investigate because, in my opinion, all three of these devices right here are going to affect each other. So again, just make a note of that, you know, because I'll be honest, you guys never know, you know, if that could do that or if it couldn't. So it's just better safe than sorry. But again, like, this is the first time I've seen them do this in this video.
Take that as yes.
Where did you come from? Are you a human spirit?
No.
We're going to bring holy water in this house. We're going to bring a crucifix in this house. We're going to bless this house. We're not afraid of you. 3 knocks. Come on, let's see how powerful you are. You want to sit in here a little bit?
Yeah.
If my cabinet's closed.
The amount of damage that's in this house, guys, is unreal to me.
What do you say no about? Somebody staying in here by themselves?
Yes. Oh, crap. It sounded like a growl as I walked by that bathroom door.
Okay, so we got Sean in there by himself. Rocky and I are going to definitely monitor the outside of this house pretty careful, because it's a very, very sketchy area. Like, I don't even know how long we're going to stay here tonight, because people are definitely watching us and all the gunfire. It's pretty bad when you have to put one of your cameras that should be documented evidence facing outside just in case somebody does a drive-by.
That is a very real situation, guys, as to where they're at, and you're going to see it here in the last portion of this video, seeing cars randomly drive by and stop and do the stare down. Again, when you're an outsider of a hood, people don't know who you are. They don't know what you're doing, and you know, they're gonna watch out for the hood on their own. So again, like, this is one of those situations where I think this is more of a safety concern for them than it is anything. But it also gets very interesting. So you remember what I said about using an app on a phone, and how it at times can basically be completely random. But again, this is the first time I've actually seen it being used in an effective way, and it's very intriguing, actually. So without further ado, let's get into this last section of the video. That way you guys can fully understand, like, their perspective here. But I do think that they're doing this for more of a safety concern than anything. Let's just watch.
What your face? Looks like somebody painted it.
What the frick?
So Josh and Rocky just was walking out, and Josh goes, "Okay, we're leaving Sean inside," and the thing back here goes, "Yes." I think that's what you wanted. You wanted one person in this house. So I wanted set in this hallway because we keep getting a lot of activity out of these 2 bedrooms. So I just wanted to put all the activity right behind me. That way, if whoever's in here or whatever's in here can travel back and forth, or it can just stand right behind me. And hopefully you guys will see that tonight.
How the hell you sit there and shoot an AR in one of these neighborhoods? There ain't nobody around. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just all houses. Kids, houses.
You got me in here all by myself. You remember this device? You can come up and talk to me on it. It says words. You still never told me your name.
Sorry.
Are you buried on this property?
How?
Is there something on this property that...
Pleasure.
Tell me what your name is. You got me in here alone. So start answering my questions. What room are you in right now? You can either tell me or...
I told him. No.
So you're...
In danger.
Who's in danger? Who is in danger? Come on, talk to me. Answer my questions when I ask. Do you got it?
Smile.
That's the second time it said smile. Well, won't you do something to make me smile?
In your dreams.
Holy crap. I'm not talking about that, you sicko. I think you're a freaking pervert. I think you need to leave this damn house is what you need to do.
Pathetic.
Well, you can say whatever you want. I think you're a piece of crap. You need to leave this house. Pick on this whole family.
Over here.
No, you come here. Just heard something by walking. Are you finally coming over here to me? You like them alarms that's on Nicole's bed? I bet you're not even strong enough to even set it off. She said you like to shut doors, slam doors, scratch people. But you haven't
Sean.
Holy crap. That's the second time he said my name. Yeah, you're a sicko is what you are. Well, come out of Nicole's room. Why you want to hide in there? She said you love to slam doors and cabinets in the kitchen and... So why don't you do that? There's a whole bunch of doors around
In
here.
your dreams.
Keep saying that. What can you do? Other than pick on this family. This is Nicole's home. This is always going to be Nicole's home. You're not welcome. You're not going to be here no more. Do you not like it when somebody stands up to you? I hear you behind me. Because I know you're just hiding in Nicole's room right now. You want to be a coward. What the hell? There's like, holy... It's got like sharp needles all through my whole arm. Dude, that freaking hurt. It was like a freaking 1,000 sharp needles just went through my freaking arm. Yes. Yeah. You freaking... That scared the out of me. Do you want me to come in Nicole's room? Freaking arm's like kind of numb now. Holy crap. Is your name John? I've asked you 1,000 times now. If your name is John, say John on this device I got in my hand.
Later this evening. Night. Humiliate.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to Nicole's room, okay?
No.
Yes, I'm coming in.
Flame. No.
Sounds like something's getting beat up out there. Do you like the darkness? If you walked out of this room, went into the other room, can you please come back in here and talk to me? Let's have a conversation. Let's figure out why you're in here. Why you're messing with this family. You got all these devices that we set up through this house to communicate with me. It's time to do it. It's time to come talk to me, man to man. Now tell me, in this room, did you write the name John all over these walls? Can you please tell me that? Yes or no?
Beside you.
Okay, either he's beside me or he's saying the devices are beside me.
No.
So you're beside me?
Indiana.
Yep, we're in Indiana right now.
Yes.
Yep. Did you die in this home, John?
John inside the house right now? Did somebody kill you? That's crazy.
I need you to answer these questions so I know who you are and why you're here. Did you die in this house? Do you remember earlier you said somebody maybe hurting your daughter, or maybe you hurt your daughter? Do you remember talking to me about that?
Leave.
I just seen a light out in the hallway. No, I'm not leaving. You don't want to talk about your daughter? Did you hurt your daughter?
Yes.
Do you know Nicole is not your daughter? And you're hurting her too?
I'm scared.
Yeah, you better be scared.
Battle.
John, you're gonna have one heck of a battle tonight when we make you leave.
Said Josh. Who's behind us right now? Is Sean safe in the house?
Did you ever show yourself to anybody?
I want to stay.
Well, guess what? That ain't gonna happen. You're gonna leave. Where you at? Maybe you don't got good intentions and that's why you're here. You just want to scare people and hurt them.
Leave.
No. Make me. Come do something to me right now to make me leave. You're not scaring me. I think you're starting to figure out you're not as strong as you think you are. I think I may have pissed the ghost off. I wonder if he liked me at first and now he just hates me.
Oh, my gut's just saying, get the hell out of here.
Oh, my chest is so tight. About to have a heart attack.
I just don't think he likes knowing that somebody's in here that he can't push around and scare. But we're going to keep it a secret because I'm like totally freaked out right now, but we're not going to tell him.
With multiple different.
That is kind of funny to me that he went up to the camera and said that. It's basically told them that it was of a demonic origin. It said it without saying it, basically. So we only have a couple more minutes left, and let's just go ahead and finish it out, and we'll talk, towards the end of this.
Cars stopping outside the house, and the neighbors watching us all day. It's hard to tell if this is just paranoia or if this is a bigger presence trying to warn us about a larger danger. The one thing I've learned over the years while investigating these dangerous cases is to trust your sixth sense. When a situation feels so dangerous, it is your body warning you to remove yourself from the situation. I believe my brothers and I have documented enough evidence to confirm Nicole and Damien's claims of paranormal activity. Before leaving, I want to cleanse the house and the property. Come in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, please defend us and protect us during this cleansing and keep us safe. Any dark and wicked spirits inside this house, we banish you in the name of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. What we documented on camera outside confirms our fear of continuing this investigation throughout the night. Any dark and wicked spirits inside this house, you must leave. It is Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who has authority over this house. We seal this room with the holy water. We close all entryways and doorways that may have been open inside this house. We call on the Holy Spirit to fill this darkness with the light of the Holy Spirit. We cast out all the evil and negative energy inside this house. We wash this house in the blood of Jesus Christ. Leave this house. Lord, we pray that you watch over this family, you watch over Nicole, and you keep her safe. We banish you in the name of Jesus Christ.
1, 2, 1, time to run. 3, 4, 3, sets me free. You won't even notice I'm not around, so take my heart and burn it down. You won't even notice I fell to the ground, so break my heart and burn it down. You won't even notice I'm not around, so take my heart and burn it down.
I just want to let you know that I appreciate you guys for coming out and cleansing my house and getting rid of whatever demon or spirit was here. I feel so much better. I'm happier mentally, spiritually, and physically, and I'm able to do a whole lot more now that I'm not being drained and my energy is being sucked dry and I'm sleeping all the time. And I just feel so much better. Thank you guys so much. I just cannot express the gratitude I have for you guys. Whatever you guys found, it was absolutely destroying me mentally and emotionally. I'm just at loss for words. Thank you guys so much. Continue to help everybody out. Thank you.
All right, well, there you guys have it. That was the full episode, and so I want to talk about something here briefly. So there are some denominations that would definitely do the blessing of the house like that, but even more important than blessing the house, why is it that a good majority of these people show the fact that they're Christians, but yet they never share the gospel? Can anybody explain that to me as to why anybody that's suffering from this type of a situation, they just don't take the time to share the gospel with the family? Look, I'll be honest, okay? What's more powerful than blessing a home is showing the person the truth in their life. Showing the person that sin might be the actual cause of what's actually happening. It's definitely not something, to me, that's hard to do, to share the gospel, and because you have to first seek wellness within their soul. That's over the top of anything else that you can do for the family. The gospel is the biggest thing. So if they're unbelievers, okay, they're not going to be able to understand, all the stuff that's happening to them in any given moment. But if you share the gospel of Jesus Christ with them, they're going to actually be more at peace. And I will tell you this from personal experience, that if the gospel is shared to you, okay, and you start believing in the doctrine that is pertained through the Word of God, all this crazy stuff that you're experiencing, it will stop. It will stop. And so that's why I'm a bit confused, because I understand wanting the house blessed. I truly understand. But it's not a house issue, it's a heart issue. So if you're not looking out for that person's heart by sharing them the gospel, then are you really helping the families? That's the question. Do you truly believe that you're helping anyone that's having these types of experiences if you don't share the gospel first? Now, I believe that if you're a paranormal investigator and you do take your job seriously, these guys did a great job. They did. But the one issue that I still have is, why wasn't the gospel shared? I mean, that to me would have prevented everything that she's experiencing. What people don't realize is that when you start talking about mental health, when you start talking about physical health, okay, a lot of times, most of the reason why that's happening is sin. Now, I don't know why God gave me my condition. I don't. But what I do know is that it's for my good and His glory. And that's hard to accept, but that is the truth. It goes the same thing for Lydia. When we accept the truth of the situation, and we realize that the gospel isn't about wealth and prosperity and good health, it's about suffering and seeking God through that suffering. So this was a great opportunity for this investigation team that they missed out on. They could have actually shared the gospel, because if you're going to do a blessing like what happens at the end of this, then in my opinion, you should have shared the gospel first. You should have actually told her to, find a local church and be under a sound biblical pastor. That's the first thing that we should be doing, guys, and when it comes to paranormal investigation. And so even though your investigation to me was quite good and interesting, you guys really missed the mark with this girl on truly showing her what freedom looks like. Because if you guys are Christians, okay, which I'm assuming you are just based off of the blessing, but I could be completely wrong on that. But if you're a Christian, don't miss the mark with that. Do you understand that that is more effective than any blessing, any cleansing that you do, any paranormal investigator team, literally anybody in this world? The gospel is more effective. And don't really give families a false positive when it comes to, oh, well, we cleansed your house, so that means everything's gone. No, it doesn't. If the heart is still, in the stone of sin, and it has not become flesh, and you have not understood that the only freedom that you're truly going to experience is Christ, then you missed your mark. And I'm sorry to say that, I am. But that's the most important thing that anybody, if you are an investigator, can do, is honestly share the gospel. So I just want you all to think about that, and encourage paranormal investigators, especially if they believe that they're Christians. Now, I understand what I've said in the past, when it comes to what the Bible says about doing these types of investigations. However, You know, if it's from a means of trying to help someone, okay, that's fine. But again, the most helpful thing that you could ever do is share the gospel. So I think a good majority of people miss the mark with that. And it's very saddening for my heart. It's very saddening for me to see so many people that could literally get out of these types of situations with just being shared the gospel. You know, like, even if they say, well, I'm a believer, that doesn't mean that they truly are a believer. And so it's, even if they know it, repeating it again is going to be the most fruitful thing that you can do for anyone that's suffering in this type of situation. I just really want everyone to think about that. Truly think about that. Truly understand that that is the biggest thing that you could ever do for a person, is share the gospel. And when a person gets convicted from their sins and they repent from their sins and start believing in the Word of God and believing that Jesus is truly the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, there's so much more freedom in that. A blessing is not showing a person freedom. It's just saying, you know what, it's okay for now. That's not fair, nor is it right for the people involved. So, with all that said, I would encourage you guys to, you know, think about the statements at the end of this video that I just went over, and honestly, just understand that that's so much more helpful. So with that being said, guys, I hope you liked and appreciated this. You know, the only thing that we ask you guys to try to do is, you know, subscribe, smash the like button, and, you know, share this with other people. You know, if you think that this video is truly helpful, then I encourage you to share it. And, you know, maybe certain people that are being affected by this type of situation can find freedom from that. Truly, like true freedom. So with all that being said, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Check here later.